Welcome to Mocktails and Masterpieces with the Indianapolis Chamber Orchestra. Hello, and welcome to this special episode of Mocktails and Masterpieces. I'm Dana Stone, the Executive Director of the Indianapolis Chamber Orchestra, and I'm here today to talk about our upcoming fundraiser on March 7th, which we've called Orchestration. Orchestration is a wonderful event that includes dinner, a full concert with the ICO, and this year we've added a little bit of, or a lot of extra flair by a theme with the circus theme. So in addition to carnival games and exotic animals that we'll have during the cocktail hour, we are partnering with some aerial artists to do some aerial silk performance during the concert and dinner. And I'm here today with Lindsay Montgomery, who is the owner of the Aerial Annex, who's one of the aerial artists that will be performing with the ICO. Lindsay, if you could take a quick minute to introduce yourself and give a background about your experience.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thanks so much for having me. This is so much fun. And I'm really excited for the show. I think it's going to be so much fun. But yeah, a little bit of background about me. I've been doing aerial silks or aerial arts for about 8 or 9 years now. So I started just by taking some classes at a studio called Cirque Indy in Indianapolis, who Mary Brumbaugh is the owner of that studio, and she's going to be performing with me. So that's really exciting. But like I said, I started taking those classes there. And I just kind of realized that there needed to be something a little closer to my own home to do those, because it is kind of becoming more of a mainstream thing that people are doing more for recreation. So, and there's really nowhere. So my studio is located in Muncie, and besides, there's really nowhere else to do that besides Indianapolis or Fort Wayne. So I thought that would be a really good location to open up my own studio. I really love it because I have a background in gymnastics and cheerleading and diving. I did all that kind of stuff when I was a kid growing up. And as an adult, you just kind of miss that opportunity to challenge yourself in that type of movement. So I was kind of looking to fill that gap. So that's what drew me to aerial silks or circus arts. And it's really provided a lot of, I don't know. I just get a lot of enjoyment out of it. It's like learning a new skill. You get that thrill again, like you used to. So it's challenging and fun.
So can you take a quick minute to describe the different types of aerial arts? Obviously, what are silks? I mean, I know what they are, but many of our listeners may
Sure.
not. And
Sure.
maybe what are some of the other apparatuses that are hung that could be considered part of that genre?
Sure. So yeah, the aerial silks, or they're also called aerial fabrics or aerial tissue. They're long pieces of fabric that hang from the ceiling. And we use them, we climb, we wrap, we do some drops, and it's like artistry kind of. It's actually considered circus arts. So that's the main form of circus art that I perform, but there's lots of others. Another popular one is called the lyra or aerial hoop. It's a stainless steel hoop. It kind of looks like a hula hoop, but it's, pretty heavy, hanging from the ceiling. So that's a really fun, popular one. Trapeze, there's many different forms of trapeze. There's like the flying trapeze that most people are most familiar with, but then there's also a static trapeze, a dance trapeze. And then there's a lot of specialty apparatuses too. So people have been coming up with their own designs, like a aerial spiral. It's a big steel spiral that hangs from the ceiling. Even pole dancing or pole fitness is considered an aerial art. So there's lots of different forms.
Fantastic. I love that. So let's talk a little bit about choreography and planning for an event like this. I know you and Mary are going to be working together. I can tell you from the production side, we've been working with Crane Bay where this event is hosted, and ensuring that we could hang you in a place that wasn't going to be over someone's table or over the orchestra, which was a bigger issue, and to ensure that we had enough clearance underneath you. So that's our end of planning. Maybe you can talk a little bit about choreography planning with the music, what you do without the music, those sorts of things.
Sure. Yeah. So, planning wise, Mary and I have been meeting. We've met the last couple of weeks to choreograph some pieces. And really, we just sit down at first and listen to the music and kind of see where certain movements should hit, where it should be slow and flowy, where we should do you know, bigger movements, but then also really talking about how can we engage with the audience while we're doing this rather than just getting up there and doing, our routine. We really want to engage the audience too. So where can we stop and have those moments as well? Um, and so it's a lot of fun to come up with those pieces. And then, you have to think about the timing and the length. How long can we be up there before we get too fatigued? Or, how much of the time is going to be actually climbing. So there's a lot to think about when you're putting together routines. And also, there's the big moments that we know everybody wants. They want to see the splits, they want to see a big drop. So, incorporating all of those crowd pleasers in there as well, is important. So, it's fun. It's a good, creative process putting it together, and then also getting the timing down between the two of us, making sure we're, as in sync as possible. So it's important that we work together. We get to work on our own a little bit once we have the choreography kind of in place, but then really, fine tuning it and polishing it out as the event gets closer.
Fantastic. So, about how tall is an aerial silk, or does it depend on the space? And then, how long does it take to climb, depending? Give or take.
Sure. So, I mean, they can vary. As some studios have them at 12 feet, which can be really challenging, and it really just restricts it a lot. If it's 12 feet or less, there's still plenty of things you can do. Um, but, at my studio, we have a space, they're hung at about 25 feet, in my studio. And there's a lot that you have to think about when you're thinking about the height. It's not just, you don't want to climb all the way to the top because there's a lot of moves that where you have the fabrics maybe split in half and your body needs to be between the two. You end up being too high because then there's a lot of tension up there and it gets too tight. So having a lot of fabric above you also helps, open up more opportunities to do more skills. And then the climbing, you can get, it depends on what climb you do. There's lots of different ways to climb. You can do a really pretty slow climb where you're going upside down and then coming back up. Or you can just climb straight to the top. So that's the fastest way, Um, but it really just depends on what you're doing. And sometimes you want to make it slow and kind of put some pauses in there and add a little bit of flair to your climb.
Okay, so let's talk about costuming. I know we kind of talked a little bit about what we were thinking to kind of incorporate this circus theme. What are things that you both consider when you're planning a costume for a performance, to ensure that you're safe and that it's also spectacular?
Sure. Yeah. So costuming is so much fun. That's usually one of the first conversations we have. The biggest thing is that it can't have a lot. It can't be loose anywhere. It can't have anything dangling or a skirt. It needs to be fitted. Mostly for safety, just because you don't want it to get wrapped up in the fabric. Get caught, get it torn, or put you in danger as the aerialist. So you need to ensure that it is pretty fitted. And then the other thing is, you definitely want to practice in it beforehand because I have had a costume malfunction before where, you're not planning on a little slip or something. So you have to make sure that the costume stays in place as you're moving. But then really looking at the theme of the event. Um, so like Mary had said, she likes when she's planning for an event or we're planning for an event, she likes to get the color palette of the colors of that event, like something you may send to the florist or the caterer. That way we can kind of put together a costume based on those colors and the theme. So circus theme is always really fun. You can go with stripes and fun patterns and different bright colors, or you can tone it down and do muted colors. There's a lot of fun patterns you can do with circus.
I love that. So, where else can audiences find you to see performances or book classes, some of that information?
Sure. The Aerial Annex is located downtown Muncie, and you can get online at theaerialannex.com, and there is a link on the website for classes. We do student showcases twice a year, so actually there is a student showcase coming up this coming Sunday at 6 p.m. So that's the best way to really see performances because you get to see a large variety of students, some that have just started getting into their aerial journey, some that have been doing it for years. So you really get to see progressions, and everybody gets to be creative with their own routines, picking out their own song, their own costume, putting the routine together. So we have kids aging from 7 years old all the way up to my oldest student just turned 63. They're all going to be performing their own routines on Sunday. But besides the student showcase, we also do local performances. We've performed at the Muncie Civic Theater in one of their productions, and then street festivals, brew fests, some private events. We did something for the Harbor Financial Group for their annual party. So yeah, any type of festival like that. I do have my own portable rig that sets up to about 23 feet, so we can hang the silks outside and perform pretty much anywhere.
I love that, and I've seen some of your pictures doing that, and I'm sure it adds so much to those events. And I'm glad to have known you prior to this, having worked in the aerial yoga with you back
Yes.
pre-pandemic. So
Yes.
when we had this circus idea, I was like, I know exactly who we need to call to
Oh,
make this
that's
happen.
so exciting. I loved it. When you called me, I got so excited. I was like, this is going to be such a fun event. Because I've seen aerial silks performed with an orchestra before, and it was such an incredible show. So I think this is going to be amazing.
Well, we're excited about it too. And if you would like to attend, a listener, you can find information at icomusic.org. Tickets will be on sale until February 23rd, I believe. They're $200, but it includes dinner and drinks, open bar. And we would love to celebrate with you, the Indianapolis Chamber Orchestra, and share all the things that makes the ICO so special in our community. So look forward to seeing you, Lindsay, on March 7th, and all of our listeners that are attending as well. Thanks so much.
Thank you.